last time that it's very fascinating that what you see at the beginning in Shmois, Exodus 1, verse 7, you see that all of a sudden, in verse 6, previous to that, V'yomas Yosef v'kol echav, and Yosef dies, and all his brothers die, all the Shvatim, v'kol adorahu, and everybody that was in that generation. In the English edition is which page for the Chevra? 292. And then we see Ubnei Yisrael para v'yishrutzu, and the Jews start paru, which means spreading, yishrutzu, spreading a lot. V'yirbu, and they're increasing. V'ya'atzmu, and getting strong. B'me'od me'od, very, very strong. V'timaleh ha'aretz oisam, and the land is starting to fill with the Jewish influence. And as soon as that happens, do you think Egypt is happy about that? What immediately happens after that? Let's just look first at Rashi. We'll see as we get into it exactly how Pharaoh, because to put a nation into slavery, for Hitler Yamach Shemo, to put Jews in death camps is not popular. So first you start with putting them into ghettos a little bit. You should have your own space. It'll be good for you. And maybe just make sure that you put on your storefront that it says Juden. Just maybe people should know, And then we'll have stars and armbands. It's good. I have a Van Halen t-shirt. I have a Grateful Dead t-shirt. I have a Drake t-shirt. I have, why don't you just put on like a symbol to show Jew? And then it goes slowly like that, as we'll see in a little bit. And now look at this. V'yishritzu, says Rashi. Why is it pointing out that we were growing? Yishritzu sounds like a language of sheretz, which means we were like growing a lot. To teach you shahaya yoldos shisha bekeres echad. Now, is that literal? Is Rashi telling you literally women were having 6 tuplets? Or does it mean that there was a tremendous amount of population growth? That it seemed that it was like shratzim that have many children in one litter, that people were being birthed at an exceptionally high rate. So I could see it as both.
I don't know why Rashi would quantify it.
Rashi is bringing from the Medrash. There was an opinion that they had 60 kids at a time.
Probably
the Medrash has another version that's 600. Now, I don't think that's literal. Have 6 tuplets ever been born? Is there a case of such?
Yes.
Really?
6 is the record?
8.
8 is the record?
8.
8 children?
What the?
Really?
Meaning if 8 is the record, if 8 children being born at once is the record, then you see that it could happen. So then am I bothered by 6 anymore?
No.
It could happen. Al piteva.
I think 9 was the record.
9 children.
9.
9.
Morocco.
Yeah.
2021.
2021.
The previous record was 8 in 2009. There's only one case of this ever happening.
Now remember, this is, so 6 is now not so beyond anymore. 6 children born at once.
More than 2 at a time.
They had
But if everyone's
They had wet nurses.
Right.
We'll see. They had, yeah, for sure.
They were all only like a pound or 2.
And it's a miracle.
Premature, yeah.
How many survived?
Even though,
They all survived.
wow.
They did all survive, yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you see here?
9 strong broad.
Yeah, no, they all did survive.
You see that there's such an idea.
9 girls. Oh, I feel bad.
9 girls.
Oh my god.
You see that there's such an idea of that it's possible. So here that the Jewish people were having 6 children at once, and everybody was having the blessing of 6 children. By the way, every single year on this parasha, so my kids come home, like the littler kids that go to Gan, they come home with all their pictures. So what's the picture that they have when Avram and Sarah have Yitzchak? Because Avram was 100 and Sarah was 90. So the picture they have is like an old Bubby and a Zaidi, old Safta Rabba looking, and a Saba Rabba with like a stroller. What picture do they bring home during this week? They bring home a mommy pushing a 6 stroller, a 6-seated stroller. All these pictures, 6 kids at a time. Now I heard of a double stroller. We have a double stroller in my house. Triple, 6-seated stroller. It's very cute, right? It's getting it into our minds what Rashi is saying. That's Vayishritzu. There was tremendous population growth. And just look what the next pasuk says. And it's interesting that there's a space. V'yoka melech hadash. And then a new king arose. Says Rashi, Yoka melech hadash, Rav v'Shmuel. There's a machloket Rav v'Shmuel. Does it mean Chadash Mamish? Or it means that it's the same king, but he changed his policies on the Jews. So Chad Amar Chadash Mamash, that it meant literally a new king. There's a new sheriff in town. Ve'chad Amar, and another one said, Shenischad Gezeroisav. It was the old king, but he started to feel threatened by the Jewish growth. There seems to be Jewish influence happening. V'ya'atzmu b'me'od me'od. They were getting very strong. And therefore we need a new plan for the Jews. And when you go into the Midrash, you see all the background discussions, very deep discussions. What were they talking about to Pharaoh, as they started to see this amazing population growth of the Jewish nation? They were starting to get positions, and they were becoming influential. What starts to happen? So says the pasuk, Ve'yoka melech chadash al Mitzrayim, asher lo yadas Yosef. He did not know Yosef. Says Rashi, asher lo yada. Asa atzmoi ke'ilo lo yada. He made himself as if he didn't know Yosef. What do you mean he didn't know Yosef? You don't appreciate with Yosef that this Jewish advisor who brought so much wealth to your country, you became the greatest superpower in the world, but now when you don't need the Jew, I know not of you. Yosef saved you. You forgot about that? Asher lo yadat Yosef. Says Rashi, he made as if he didn't know him. So last week Yosef is given royal titles. And now when Yosef would come in, we don't know you anymore. What do you mean? It's like the guy, his access card, he tries to go into the company and he puts the card on. Why isn't the door opening? We changed the locks. We didn't give you a key, sorry, we forgot. He made him, of course he knew Yosef. Yosef was the greatest political leader ever. And he brought so much blessing. And how many times has this repeated? That we help make a country great, and we know not of you anymore.
80 years.
Mitzrayim was the wealthiest. They had all the money in the world. Because during the 7 years of plenty, they stored up all the grain. And the 7 years of famine, there was no food in the world. The entire of humanity came to Yosef. Which means all the world's resources and gold and silver were galvanizing towards Mitzrayim. They became the biggest superpower. And Yosef was loyal to Pharaoh. Yeah.
Basically all the Hebrews, Jews in the world at this point were living in Egypt.
Yes. It
Everyone.
was Yaakov and his family. They were all here. The 70 soul that went down to Mitzrayim, and then they started growing and growing and growing and growing. Asher lo yada. Asatzmo ki'ilu lo yada. So look at this. You see the back and forth already happening in the psukim. V'yomer elamo. He says to his people, Hine am b'nei Yisrael. By the way, that's the first time we see the Jews refers to am. Like am Yisrael Chaim. Am b'nei Yisrael. We become an am. In Mitzrayim, is the forging of the Jewish nation as an am. Before that, we're a mishpacha. Mitzrayim turned us into an am. Am b'nei Yisrael. That's the first time we see am b'nei Yisrael. And Pharaoh says, Ra v'atzum mimenu. The Rav atzum mimenu, from us. Now it's interesting, how long had the Jews been there? For a long time, almost 100 years. Why is he saying they've become great from us? Are they not with the mitzvah? Are we not living together? Rav Soloveitchik says a famous idea. He says, Rav atzum mimenu. Pharaoh is showing his cards. I never saw them as one of us. They become more from us. I always saw them as separate. As long as they were helping, okay, we'll pretend like everything is okay. But as soon as we think there's a threat, we're showing the true colors. You were never one of us.
Oh, we're not helping at that point?
Well, now they feel a threat because para v'yishrutzu, v'ya'atzmu b'me'od me'od. We're getting very strong. And here they were tzaddikim, they were doing good things. But they started to get influenced. Now it's interesting, the shi'abud did not begin while Yaakov and his sons were alive. Because they were perfect tzaddikim. Everybody asked the question, go back to the beginning of the parasha. Ve'ele shmot b'nei Yisrael aboy Mitzrayim, eis Yaakov ishu beis abo. Yaakov, his wife, his house, they all came. When we talked about that before, we'd mentioned all the 70 people. Why now do we only mention the Shvatim? Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zevulun, Binyamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher. Why do we only mention his sons? Why don't we mention all the 70 like we did previously in Bereshis? What did they answer? They say they only mentioned the sons because the sons were the only ones that fully stood up against the Avodah Zarah. The sons of the sons started to get a little bit modernish, like we say. They weren't as chazak. Many of us have family that we came from Europe, we came from Persia, we came from different places. So the first generation that came were chazak, many of them. Or at least the parents of that generation. And then what happened? A little bit more Egyptian. And then a little bit more Egyptian. And then we have a hard time telling what's really going on. So the only ones that are mentioned here are the sons because they stood up, and therefore the Yoka Melech Chadash, who now wants to make problems for the Jews, was only when the Yidden started getting a little bit mitzri. We started feeling like maybe we should hang out by their cinema city. We should go to their, whatever they're doing. Start watching their theater. Hollywood. Then the problems begin. Until then, bless you. Until then, we're increasing, but there's no problems yet. So what does Pharaoh say? V'yomer lamo hine am b'nei Yisrael rava atzum imenu. Hava nischak maloi. We have to make a chokhmah. We need to do something to prevent their influence. Says Rashi. What's hava? Hava, says Rashi, is a lashon of like give. Kol hava lashon hachana v'hazmana ledavarhu. It means we have to get ready to do something. Klomar hazminu atzmechem lekach. Everybody get ready. We need to make a plan to deal with the Jewish problem. Nischak maloi. It's interesting. Nischak maloi, to deal with it or him. Should have said nischak lahem. Because Am Yisrael is one. Lo. Lo Am. Nischak malo means Lo Am. Even though we're many, the Pasuk calls us one, singular. V'yichan sham Yisrael neged ahar. When we receive the Torah, what does it say? Ki ish echad belev echad. Like one person with one heart. Because in our essence, we're one. 10 Yirbeh. Maybe they're going to get more numerous. V'haya kisikurena milchama. Oh, there's going to be a fight. V'nosaf gamhu al sonenu. So interesting. V'nilcham banu v'ola min haaretz. Look what Paro's concern was. They're going to get so strong that they, if we're attacked, would align with our enemy and then overthrow us.
So he doesn't seem to be worried about us attacking them directly out of the blue.
Which is interesting. The one thing we learn from history is we don't learn from history. The story repeats. That my Rabbi always says that the Torah is not something in a museum. It's alive right now. It's alive. It's alive. We're living it. It's when they asked Lubavitcher Rebbe if he reads the news, he said, "Of course I read the news. I read the weekly parasha." That's what's happening in the world. If you read the parasha carefully, you see the news. You see.
Anti-Semitism is glorious how this parasha is telling you this is like anti-Semitism.
And it's also hinting to how it happens. Number one, if we stop staying tzaddikim, problems start. As long as Yosef, that's what it says, who Yosef, that he is Yosef Omed, like we said yesterday, B'tzidko. He stood up in such a dark place. As long as we stand up as tzaddikim, there's no problems. We were living in Goshen. We had so much blessing. We were learning Torah. We had religious freedom in Mitzrayim. America has been so good to the Jews. But Moshe Feinstein said America is Medinat HaChesed. It's the Medina that just gave us so much religious freedom. Medinat HaChesed. As long as we are staying tzaddikim, but they only mention the sons. Once the sons of the sons, V'yokom melech hadash, I don't know about your ancestors. There's a mohel here in the old city, Rabbi Aramati, he's probably 100 years old. He can't see anymore, don't worry. He doesn't do milah now. A blind mohel wouldn't be, even though I'm sure he could do it, no problem. He grew up in Yemen, learned the entire Torah. Like in Yemen, they had nothing. They're just eating gat and just learning Torah. He learned everything. All of Torah is on his fingertip. He lives here in the old city, big tzaddik. When you walk into his home, you feel like you're in Teiman. You feel like you're living in 200 years ago. Just like a carpet on the floor, a simple table, nothing in the house. Pashut. And so about 20 years ago, when I was getting into Milah, so I went to him also. I wanted to get his Misorah. Because you want to go to big people who know from the preview. So he said like 60 years ago, that we used to go into certain places here in Eretz Yisrael, in certain villages, and they asked us to come in to do Milah for our cousins. And he said when we go in, they gave us such kavod rav. Kavod. They appreciated that we're cousins. Yaakov, Yishmael, that we're cousins. And we worship the same God. And because of that, there's a bond that we have. And he said that they gave us such kavod, they gave us so much respect. He said, now, you can't go anymore. You can't go. They don't. I think he was saying is that we have a yirida of the dorot. We've gone down. If we're holding in a place of tzaddikim, so then the world sees that the Jew is acting the way we're supposed to. That we're living up to what it means to be Klal Yisrael, the Am HaNivchar. But if that goes down, the world has a way of reminding us that we're Yehudim. And this has repeated over and over and over. Every place we went, we became influential, but we forgot our roots. And that's when the problems start. That's when the problems start. Hashem Yirachem. It's because we fell off. Now, they're making free will decisions also. But it starts with us. To connect to Yosef HaTzadik. Hu Yosef Shahai b'Mitzrayim v'naseh melech ve'omed b'tzidko. I underlined that in my Chumash. That line, I think, sums up what it means to be a Jew. Is yes, to go and help our neighboring and host countries. We have so much thankfulness and appreciation of every single country that has hosted us over the millennia. And we show honor to every country we've been in. As long as we're omed b'tzidko. And we don't forget. And if we do that, then there'll be bracha for the whole world. We'll give shefa and bracha and blessing for the whole world. So when we're falling off of this and we're getting a little bit more mitzri, so the problems start and Pharaoh says we need to make a plan. V'yasimu alav sarei misim leman hanoisai b'siv loisam. And now we see that the plans are starting to happen. We have to make sarei misim leman hanoisai b'siv loisam. We're starting to see the beginnings of the slavery. Vayiven aremiskanois leparoi es pisoin v'es ramses. So Chazal say on this, they got Jews to start building cities. And the way that it started is they said that we're going to have a big building campaign. All of Egypt together. And they say that the first day, you know who came out to the big building campaign? Pharaoh himself. He came out and he had around his neck this block, which is the way that you make bricks, a form, a mold for a brick around his neck, as if to say, my Jewish friends, I'm one of you. I'll build bricks with you. Just make sure I have a few people that are monitoring all your behavior. And I want to see how many bricks you guys can make today. And Jews started getting this, had all the materials there, strong, and the mortar, and putting it together, making a brick. And it's like, yeah, we're all Mitzri, building cities. Long live the king. And the next day, you know who didn't show up? Pharaoh somehow didn't show up. He showed up on day one for all the pictures, for the paparazzi. But you know who did show up the next day? To cut the ribbon?
The guard.
The guards were there, and the Jews were there. And that next day they told them, well, you know, we recorded the quota of how many bricks you made yesterday. This time you have to make the same amount, but we're not giving you the materials. So what do you mean? I have to go find the materials and make the same amount of bricks? And they knew that there's something happening here. And this is how it began. It began as we're all in this together. We're going to put you in ghetto. It's going to be good. For your own good, it's going to be better. And then we see where things go. Hashem Yirachem.
We saw in India, they're still making bricks like this. And with a clay, with a straw. And they mamash built like a structure. Like, you see it, how they go with their feet, like this. Now. And then they get it, they put it in these molds, they make bricks, gets solid, and then they start building the structures, houses for themselves.
It's
Exactly what you're saying.
I was gonna say, in Egypt, a lot of the buildings is like stone carved out of, like, is there recorded things with these mud bricks? Like,
You'll go speak to Rabbi Dubav. I'm sure I'll have a lot to tell you. And Rabbi Ro. So says Rashi. Misim loshen mas. Misim means people that are collecting taxes. Sarim shegoiv mehem amas. So ma'u amas. What was the taxes? It wasn't money taxes. Rashi says, "Sheyivnu are miskonos leparo." The taxes was you need to work. You have a quota of how much you belong to Pharaoh. Your time is not yours. You have to give as a tax you in work. That was the Sarei Misim. Laman anoisei b'sivloisam shel Mitzrayim. Are miskanois ketargumoy. Oitzara. These were Oitzara means places of storage houses. Strong storage houses. Es Pisaim ve'es Ramses, says Rashi. These were cities that were already built before, says Rashi. Shaloi hayru'us mitchila lekach. They weren't yet storage houses. Va'asuyim chazokois ubetsurois le'oitze. They went into the cities that were already built, and they fortified them and made them into suitable storage houses. Also, it began a journey where the Jew did not have time to himself anymore. He started to belong to the state. And Pharaoh started to put things into the decrees that a Mitzri could take a Jew anytime he wanted, pull him out of his house to do any work that he wanted. There's a very good book I would suggest people read. Excellent. It's called Let My Nation Go, I think. Anybody heard of it? Joseph Deutsch. He writes like a novel based on all the Gemaras and all the Midrashim and all the Zoyars. Like you're in the story. Based on all the Medrash. It's so beautiful. And he wrote one for, I think, all the holidays now. The first one I read was on Purim, where he takes you through the Purim story like you're a character in the story. Excellent. Very well written. Joseph Deutsch. That one's called Let My Nations Survive, I think. Excellent. We'll send it to the Chevra. It's a very good series. I always find if you learn that book before a holiday, they have one on Shavuos, he has one on Megillas Rus, everything, Noah's Ark. If you learn these books before a holiday, you're so much more in the experience of the holiday. It's excellent.
Let my nation live.
Let my nation live, let my nation go. Each one, it's all, I think, let my people go. It is excellent. Excellent. You really see all from Chazal.
Let my nation stand.
That's right.
Go.
That's right.
My nation.
Get any of them, it's very impressive. And you feel you're in the story. So B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to continue tomorrow. We're literally in the middle now where the exile is beginning. We'll go more into the whole journey of the Jew into the period of this persecution. It doesn't even capture it. Real slavery and demoralization, dehumanization, which is all part of the journey of Shoivavim that we spoke about on Sunday, of the journey of when all physicality was stripped away from us, that we were left with our neshama, with our soul. And it brought us back to that as our core identity. And B'ezrat Hashem, we will go through this as we journey through the parsha. And B'ezrat Hashem, to do all the tikkunim, that we could have the Geula Shleima b'mehera v'yameinu amen ve'amen. Okay, we're going to do Tehillim now. Kuf Chaf Aleph. We invite everyone, page 975, to join us. 975. Now, boys are nice and loud. They could hear us all the way over in Mitzrayim. Oy shir lamalos ezayna yeleyarim me'ayin yavo ezri me'im Adonai oy ze shumayim v'aretz אל ייתן לעמוד רגליך, אל ינום שומרך. הנה ינום ולא אישה שמי ישראל. אדוני שמרך, אדוני צילך, יד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יככה וירח בלילה אדוני ישמוך מכל רע ישמור את נפשך אדוני ישמור צאצך ויך מידו יד העולם זוקתי לגמורה. Can I both say new Mishnah?